From the National Newsroom of the Canadian Press, I'm Jason White. U.S. President-elect Donald Trump says he would use what he calls economic force to make Canada the 51st state. Trump doubled down on his threats of tariffs on Canadian goods in a wide-ranging news conference today. He also mused about getting rid of the Canada-U.S. border.
Because Canada and the United States, that would really be something. You get rid of that artificially drawn line, and you take a look at what that looks like, and it would also be much better for national security. Don't forget, we basically protect Canada.
On social media, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau says there, quote, isn't a snowball's chance in hell that Canada would become part of the United States. British Columbia Premier David Eby says he and other premiers plan to go to Washington to convince President-elect Trump to back off tariff threats against Canada. Eby says he and his counterparts from across Canada need to take leadership in the fight against Trump's threat to impose 25% tariffs on goods from Canada and Mexico. A New York appeals court judge has denied U.S. President-elect Trump's latest bid to delay sentencing in his hush money case. Trump's sentencing remains on the schedule for Friday this week, but he can still ask other courts to intervene. As Liberal Party brass begin charting a course for an expedited race to find Justin Trudeau's successor, some names are rumored to be interested in being the next Liberal Party leader. Canadian Press reporter Kyle Duggan says the frontrunners are likely waiting to see if they have enough support to run.
A lot of people are making phone calls to Liberals to find out, gauge how much support they have. They're going to have to do a lot of fundraising and so on. So a lot of names are going to be floated, or a lot of people are going to be considering whether to run.
Names bandied about as Trudeau's potential successor include former Finance Minister Chrystia Freeland and former Bank of Canada Governor Mark Carney. Canadian experts say Meta's move away from third-party fact-checking could allow a wider spread of misinformation. The owner of Facebook and Instagram says it is replacing its fact-checking program with a community notes system written by users. The federal government says the Canada Revenue Agency will continue administering the capital gains tax, even though the changes didn't pass in Parliament before it was prorogued.
The Finance Department says taxation proposals like the capital gains changes the Liberals introduced last year were effective as soon as the government tabled a notice of Ways and Means motion. Despite the current prorogation, the Finance Department says the CRA will issue taxpayer forms in accordance with the proposed rules by January 31st. The department says the CRA will stop administering the policy if Parliament resumes and the government signals it will no longer proceed with the proposed changes. Michelle Zedekian, The Canadian Press.
This is The Canadian Press. In sports, the Winnipeg Jets look to end a 3-game losing streak tonight when they host the Nashville Predators in NHL action. Meanwhile, the Toronto Maple Leafs try for a 5th straight win when they visit the Philadelphia Flyers. Also tonight, Ottawa visits Detroit, Edmonton's at Boston, Calgary visits Anaheim. The driver charged with killing NHL player Johnny Gaudreau and his brother Matthew has pleaded not guilty. 44-year-old Sean Higgins turned down a proposed plea agreement that included a 35-year prison sentence. The case now goes to trial. The Ottawa Redblacks have signed Canadian defensive back Justin Howell to a 1-year extension. The 31-year-old from Bradford, Ontario, has played with the Redblacks since being selected out of Carleton at the 2018 CFL Draft. Major League Soccer club CF Montreal has acquired forward Giacomo Vrioni from the New England Revolution in exchange for $50,000 US in 2025 general allocation money. From the Canadian Press, I'm Jason White.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to follow and subscribe. For more of today's top stories, visit thecanadianpressnews.ca.